Welcome to the Rise Above Show, presented by RoofCON. My name is Dante, and I'm thrilled to bring you inspiring conversations with some of the most innovative and bright minds in our industry. From business and entrepreneurship to personal development and growth, we'll explore the strategies, insights, and stories that have helped our guests rise above challenges, overcome adversity, and achieve their goals. So sit back, relax, and join us on this journey of empowerment, inspiration, and discovery. This is the Rise Above Show. What is going on, everybody? Diego here with the Rise Above Show presented by RoofCON. I'm excited to do this because we have been getting into the rhythm of doing these live streams on Friday afternoons. And it's a good time. We get to hang out with people that we wouldn't normally get to hang out with. And today I've got a special guest with me, my friend Ringo from Ringo Innovations. And he's going to be at RoofCON. We wanted to get to chat, talk a little bit of solar. He is the solar guy. So figured, hey, let's get together. Let's chat about how we can help some of our people in our group, our roofing contractors, to be able to add some revenue, some additional revenue by adding solar. So Ringo, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really well today, sir. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, and I know, I'm calling you Ringo, but
that's fine. That's all right. It's all good.
But it's David Ringo.
First name. If anybody needs it, it's David Ringo. So if you want to find me on social media, find me on David. It's David Ringo. But yeah, Ringo's fine.
So tell me a little bit about you, man. How did you get into solar, and where are you at now with your career and the things that you're doing?
Man, I've got an interesting story, and I don't know if it's quite a story, but I got into solar. Most people don't know this, but I got into solar by back in the day when you could reply to a Craigslist ad and not be worried that you were going to get murdered when you went there. So I actually responded to a Craigslist ad, went for an interview. I'd never been in sales before. I didn't know anything about solar, and I went to this job interview and somehow got hired and started selling solar and haven't looked back. And that was about 13 years ago now. So
awesome.
It was quite the introduction. And then what I started doing was I noticed that I didn't like how solar was being installed for the company I was working with at the time. I was just in sales and so on. So I literally got a side job. This is kind of crazy, but I got a side job doing installs on the weekend, and I sold during the week. So I started installing and learning that piece, and I went and got my license. And then I started doing solar installs for a while. It was by myself, and then I hired somebody. So I would go and actually sell a solar project and then go install it by myself. And then I started hiring people and so on. So started a company in my garage, and as a lot of people do, right? And it was in Spring Hill, Florida. And then a few years later, I had 2-3 install crews, a sales staff, and we were on Inc. 5000 a few times. I got a lot of awards. We grew really fast and had a great time with it. And then so I'm starting to rebrand myself. I started realizing that I was really doing pretty good in Central Florida, but I wanted to get outside of Florida and sell outside of Florida. And when you are dealing with your install teams and you're working inside the company, you really can't grow outside that state easily. So I pulled back out of installs. I don't do that anymore. I still maintain a solar contractor's license in Florida, but I don't actually use it. I may someday. I have enough people asking me if I do some installs, but right now I'm focused on sales and building sales teams and helping others get into this industry. So that's what I'm doing now. I don't know if does that cover everything you wanted to hear?
Yeah. Where do you see some of the pitfalls right now of, when roofing contractors are starting to add solar to the things, to their list of trades that they offer? Where do you see people fall short or making big mistakes right from the beginning?
I will say this: even before they get involved with solar, I think I think the decision not to get involved with solar is a bigger issue. I sat down. I happened to be at a networking event not long ago with one of the stronger solar or roofing contractors in the area, and we sat down and we were chatting. He told me who he was. I knew exactly who he was, and you get large roofing companies, you know who they are. And then I told him, I said, man, we should do some work together. I said, I can help you get more revenue and bring in more projects. And he said, absolutely not. I'm a roofer only. I don't want anything to do with solar. And to me, Diego, that's a different answer than I think you were looking for. I'm telling you now, I have seen it morph from such a different conversation years ago to now. If you're a roofer that doesn't have a solar solution, you are going to get left behind. I believe that 100%. I am convinced of that. I see it happen all the time. So for me, the bigger mistake is not considering solar and turning your back on it and running away. Because as you know, in this world, if you are the same as you were 5 years ago, you're going to get run over. If you're the same as you were last year, you're going to get run over and left behind. It's even shorter terms than that. If you aren't changing and evolving and adding products and changing to what society wants now, you're gonna get left behind, and I'm telling you, fully convinced that you need to add solar to it, so to a roofing, company. So, that being said, I think if they're convinced and they wanna get into solar, I think honestly, sometimes they get into with somebody that they know locally and they feel comfortable with. And I think the decision needs to be bigger than that. You need to make certain that you have financing that covers everything. So right now I offer 200 loans, up to $250,000 loans. I have leases. We have PACE programs. So for me, you may have your best friend that you go drinking with on the weekends, and he may be a solar guy, but be really careful who you do business with. And I know it's a comfort zone. We get in our comfort zones, but I think you really need to start looking at something that can help you holistically. So I think people just get uncomfortable with where they're at without solar. And then when they do get into solar, it's because they know somebody. And I think that there needs to be a more educated decision on that aspect. So
I look at it also from the other perspective of how sometimes we don't do a service to our homeowners when they do want to go solar by not having that, because we if we leave it up to them, right? And I've seen it so many times where they'll end up going with a random person that'll come knock at their door or something like that. Someone who doesn't understand roofing to come in and put a solar system on their house. And frankly, a lot of the times they don't even fully understand solar.
right. Absolutely.
And so, when you I always tell my homeowners, if you're gonna add solar, make sure that you're going with a contractor that understands the roofing side too, because you want to make sure that it's installed properly, that you're not going to have leaks coming down later, and if that does happen, that it's someone that's going to be able to take care of you. And again, so that's like being able to have that all in house is such a huge win, for when your homeowners need that. And obviously, like, the homeowners that are going through and adding roofing, also same thing with like gutters and sidings and all this stuff, like having the availability to do those things, because if someone's working on their roof, they obviously also are they're looking outside of their house and they're saying what needs to be improved, right? So for sure, having other trades is huge, and solar is definitely the one that seems that would bring the most amount of revenue, versus also obviously, like I said earlier, the gutters, of course, that makes sense. The siding, sure, but there's a lot of revenue to be made in solar if you know what you're doing, and you've got the proper backing behind you.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you as well, I really I like talking with roofers specifically for a few reasons. Is first of all, if they want to add revenue, if they're a company that's interested in growing and not shrinking over time, right? If they're on their way out in retirement age, I get it. Have at it. Do your thing. But if you're somebody, either an individual, a small team, or a larger company that's a roofing company, and you want to grow and you're not looking at solar, I think you're missing it totally, because you're already dealing with the roof, right? You're already dealing with the homeowner. You're at the table and or virtually, however you're selling the roof, right? And now you're talking with somebody that, ask them what their utility bills are. And then next thing you know, they're like, we have thought about solar. Well, guess what? You're going to either sell it or I'm going to come behind you and sell it. It just doesn't make sense for you to pass up that deal that somebody else is going to get on that roof that you just took. You're very proud of. You took the time and energy to put together a perfect roof, and now you're going to let somebody else come in and do that install. Why don't you just say, listen, while I'm here, let me talk to you about solar. Let me get involved with it. And then guess what? You can sell them together on our proposal tools. If you're bidding a roof and you use our proposal tool for the solar, there's a line item you put. If it's a $15,000 roof, you put a line item on there and it's financed with the solar system altogether. So, and it's amazing because you're already dealing with measurements. You already know the measurements of the roof. You already know the size. You already know where the shade is. You already know everything. It's so much easier to put together a proposal from the information you already have than what you can imagine. It's unbelievably easy and it makes no sense. And I will say this, part of the title today, right, is we were talking about how to double revenue. And if you're looking at gutters doubling your revenue, it's not going to happen. But with solar, it's very easy to double your revenue. 2xing your revenue with solar is not hard to do.
So what are the strategies? What are some of the things now if I'm already thinking about going into, and adding solar and I'm going into this um with the idea of all right, I need to be able to double my revenue. I'm going to add solar. What are some of the strategies, some of the things I got to keep in mind or the things that I need to make sure that I'm doing correctly?
Well, first of all, talk to me, right? Can I say that? I don't know. But no, seriously, I think, like I said, I think you need to select the right roofing contractor and the right platform to be on. The platform that I work on right now, we literally have the best training in the industry. Period. The solar industry is so convoluted with incorrect information. Even if you were to go Google information about solar, so when I go to a homeowner's house, they're always like, "Hey, I already did all my research." I say, great, because, and in back of my mind, I'll fix it when I get there because you don't have the right information. Because the information on the first 2 pages on Google is so skewed to get you in a funnel and they tell you certain things to get you to buy solar from them. It's not always the truth when you get on that Google search, right? So the training we have is exceptional, and I want to make sure that people actually have the right information. I talked to a guy recently who had 3 estimates and I was his fourth, and he says, "You know what, I'm going to stop at 3. Thank you anyway." And I said, "Well, let me just do this. Let me just look at your estimates." 2 of them were lying about size and production, and the other guy completely lied to him about the tax credit. So they 3 of the 3, so 100% of them had wrong information. So if I were to say, "Listen, you want to get into solar, do it ethically and look at, being honest and ethical, because you will stand out in the solar industry," right? So the education piece of it for the people that are be selling it is paramount. So, and then on top of that, like, not only do we just have some of the best training out there, we are connected with some of the best reps from not only the manufacturers, the lenders, everybody, like from Solar Edge and Enphase. I know these guys on a first name basis. So if you have a client that says, "Hey, this, I don't know if I get this, I understand this." Well, listen, I'll let you talk to the manufacturer. Let me get him on the phone call or her on the phone call. You'll be blown away. So it's having the person or the team behind you, the platform or whatever, that has the right connections and the right training to make sure that you're selling ethically, because your reputation will explode if it's ethical. If you got people going on and giving you reviews that, "Hey, they came out, we had 4 people come out. The first 3 were pushy. 2 of them were canvassing. They were knocking on the doors." Like you mentioned earlier, like you referred to earlier, they may not know a lot about solar, but they know how to close a deal and make some money, move on to the next one. That's not what I'm built on. That's not what I've not been in the industry for 13 years doing that. So I really think it's ethical. It's the training. Those are huge. And then having somebody that's got the resources. We have the best equipment, and I say just as good as everybody else because we all buy from the same, distributors, but we have the top of the line equipment, 4 of the best batteries out there, including Tesla, Enphase, Solar Edge, Franklin Whole Home Battery. We have leases, loans, all that stuff. So having the right products and then being ethical and being trained correctly and not misleading people. I know that's a lot, and you asked for one thing, I think, but I think all of those together makes a perfect combination how you're going to be successful in this industry.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's huge when you're definitely when you're starting out. If you're trying to, if you've never done solar before, it's huge to be able to partner up with someone who has the connections, has the training, has everything that you would need versus, starting a division on your own and having to figure it all out. Cause that's the last thing you want to be doing is figuring it out on, on top of someone else's roof. Right. Here, I got a question from audience. So said, I got into this video late. For someone who's not a general contractor who does roofs, but a roofer primarily, most people have said focus on one thing until you're able to grow comfortably. Don't have your hand in too many pots type thing. At what point should you start branching out into other areas of home improvement, or do y'all think you should just do it all in house from the beginning?
That's a great question. There's a couple different questions there. Let me make sure that I capture all this. So don't have your hands in too many pots. I want to address that because I will say this. I've seen in the solar industry in like I said, in 13 years, I've seen some huge changes in the incentives. Interest rates change dramatically. They fluctuate, as you can imagine. Once we started seeing the Fed rate going up, our interest rates, and I'm sure the interest rates that you're used to seeing in the roofing industry as well, has ballooned. And I think, listen, I think there's a couple different things. And I'm going to separate roofing and solar for a minute, but roofing is a necessity. You go to sell a house, you have to have a roof. You need a roof. So the interest rate doesn't impact roofing nearly as much if you're going to finance it as much as it is solar. If you're going to buy solar systems to save money and the interest rate's astronomical and it doesn't make financial sense, why would you do it, right? So I think roofing is a little bit protected by that, whereas solar, if the incentives and the all these rates and things change dramatically, it could put you out of being able to sell solar effectively in your area. What I have seen recently, I talked to somebody and they said the exact same thing. This company said, listen, we'll get back to you in 6 months. And my reply to them is, I know you want to have your hands around it and grab it all and you want to do all that. But I'm going to tell you right now, in Florida specifically, they've tried to change the legislation several times and they're going to successfully do it at some point. And at that point, they're going to have a mad rush at sales. And that's happened in other states as well. California had that happen this January, I think it was, or January or February. And now in North Carolina, they just had these changes. So if you're going to wait and you're going to come in later when it's more challenging to sell, I think you're really going to miss the boat. This is a once in a lifetime, and I'm convinced of this. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to sell solar. And the way I can bundle it and package it for you with the platform I'm on, it makes it where you can in 48 hours be selling solar with somebody guiding you like myself or somebody from my team or from from this platform can help you be selling solar within days and effectively with a fair amount of confidence that grows constantly. So your training is endless. You can go in there and get training. So me personally, I think if you're going to add windows or siding or whatever you add additionally as a GC, I think you can wait on that, to be perfectly honest. But if you're going to get into solar, I would strongly urge you to get into solar, and I would urge you to do it as soon as you possibly can to match it up with roofing. Because there's one example that I use all the time. When I sit with roofers, I tell them, listen, and I get three names of people around the room. Let's just say contractor A, B, and C. And contractor A goes out and gives the absolute best presentation on this shingle project ever. Couldn't do it any better. It's the best project, it's the best warranty, product, everything's number one. And the homeowner's like, man, I should buy right now. But you know what? I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to see two other guys. The next guy or girl comes and they're it's an okay presentation. And he's like, man, I shouldn't even done this. And as that contractor B or second contractor is walking out of the house, said, hey, listen, we do solar as well. Have you considered doing solar and roofing together? And the homeowner says, no, I haven't. Tell me what that looked like. And they start talking about the financial benefits and the loans and the 30-year warranties that we have for roof penetrations and so on. And they say, oh my God, I didn't know solar and roofing together makes total sense. And so then they go through and say, How about, okay, this is great. Thank you so much. And they go to the third contractor, and the third contractor comes along, does the same thing. Solar and roofing, have you considered? And they're like, no, we just heard about it from the second contractor. Tell us, same kind of deal. Still not the best roofing proposal, but the overall package blows away contractor A. So they call back the contractor A, the first one, and say, hey, listen, here's the first time in my life I've ever heard having a guy doesn't help. And so they call back the first contractor and they say, hey, listen, we talked to two other contractors. We like your presentation best. It's a best product, best presentation. You're the one we want to work with. But do you do solar? And the minute he says no, or she says no, or they say, I got a guy, you're done. They're going to shred that contract the second they get out the phone. They don't want to touch you anymore because it's not, because solar and roofing is not seamlessly integrated together. And as soon as you say, because in the past for years, I got a guy works. I got a guy that does solar. I'll call you and I'll introduce you. That works. But now when you have people going behind you as a roofing contractor, and if you are not offering solar together, you're losing deals every single day. And I promise you, you're losing, because if I talk to somebody who needs a new roof, I'm offering them solar and roofing together. I'm taking that job. I will get it. Somebody else will. Maybe I won't. Somebody's going to get it if they offer solar and roofing. So my answer to that is hogwash. Don't listen to that. Get involved with solar and roofing combined together. You have to do that, and you have to do it as soon as you possibly can. The way that we're doing it right now, we can show people how to do it by, if they want to do it in home, if they want to do it virtually, or a hybrid mix of anything in between. The tools we have are so versatile. You can do it anywhere. I've got guys that are sitting in Kentucky right now. A good friend of mine, I don't know if he listened today, but Justin, and he's selling in Illinois. He's never been to Illinois, and he sells in Illinois every single day, and he's killing it. And I couldn't be happy for him. He's doing so well. And there's other people that meet people every day in home, and they wouldn't do it virtually. So we have such a versatility of the tools that we're using. It's unbelievable. So I would jump into the solar thing, and if it's siding and gutters and stuff that you have to bring on overhead later, that's fine. But for us, there's no overhead. You don't have to purchase equipment. You don't have to have a warehouse to store equipment. You don't have to worry about installers. You don't have to worry about permitting if you don't want to. You don't have to worry about anything. You sell it, you're getting paid for it, and we work together to get everything done. We do absolutely everything. So for me, the reason that I'm such a passionate into this is because I can help a roofing contractor go from roofing to roofing and solar in 7 days. Change your marketing, change your advertising, and just go. It's that simple. So anyway, as you can see, I can go on for a while. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. We have a friend of the show. His name is Michael O'Donnell. I don't know if you know Michael, but we've had him on the show a couple times, and he told me, he said, I feel like I'm in a gold rush, and if I have to go out and get it, because it's not going to be here forever, and I'm making my money now while I know that I can do it. So to your point, he's sold over 2 megawatts each year since 2017.
Nice.
He's doing pretty well. And
Yeah.
he's but anyway, all that to say, like, you know, he said to us, if you're gonna get in solar, get into it now. Don't wait, because at some point, this could go away. Just like, but to your point, like, roofing's probably going to be here for a while. It might change the way we're doing it, or we may not be dependent on insurance claims or other stuff. But for the most part, you know, it's going to be here for a while. So, um, let's talk through, um, specifically with getting into selling itself. How does selling solar differ from selling a roof itself?
So for me, I've never really sold roofing until this year as a standalone product. For the first 12 years of my career, I've always said, hey, I've always had that guy that I just told you not to do, right? But I'm specifically talking about solar. Don't have a guy do it. Don't have a guy. You need to be immersed into it. So for me, for years, I've always said, hey, depending on where I'm selling at, some roofers have a smaller footprint, some are larger. I know who's good. And I had to remember the map of where roofers were, but I would give a a name and an address to somebody, say, "Hey, Diego, can you give an estimate for this?" And they would do so, and I would just add it to the proposal and go from there. As far as solar goes, it's a little different in the sense that you need to go in and you need to know a little bit about what you're talking about. You need to show and have a passion. And you need to be ethical, but it's about how to get in front of people because there's some negative connotation out there about solar. Obviously, um, even roofers, and I know there's people listening today that absolutely hate solar. I get it. I really would love to have a conversation, maybe another conversation for another day for people that are absolutely solar haters. I'd like to get them all in a room and talk to them too. But there are people that have negative connotations about solar, and you need to understand how to get past those objections because there has been back in the day when I first started solar, we literally would take an L foot up on a roof, put a little bit of glitch behind it, and 4-inch lug bolt right to the roof. Period. That's how we attach to roofs. So when people say they leak, yes, they used to leak. Now with flashings and now with the different technologies and different things we're doing, there's no way that solar is going to leak today versus the way it did just 10 years ago. And I know it sounds crazy, but the technology from 10 years ago attaching to a roof to today is not even comparable. So it's different. You know, people say it leaks. I said, yeah, I understand. It used to. It doesn't anymore, and I'll tell you why. I mean, you need to understand some of these objections that they have because it's different. You go to somebody's house that needs a roof, they're going to get 3 to 5 estimates, and they have to buy a roof. They don't have to buy solar. It's a different proposition. A value proposition is a whole lot different angle than it is if somebody needs, they have to have a roof. So, but what I will say with roofing contractors is I do two things with roofing contractors when I work with them. And this is, again, part of the platform I'm on. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the end. Because we got to figure out where our booth is going to be so we can announce it. But so when you start talking, I totally lost my train of thought there. What was I even saying, Diego?
We were talking about selling solar versus selling roofing.
I totally lost my mind. I will say this: when people are
You were
starting to
talking about
sell
the
solar,
flashings, how flashings used to be really different, and
I shouldn't have
we've
mentioned
got
the
a
booth.
lot new technologies and all that.
I shouldn't have mentioned the booth. That threw me off a little bit. But no, I see people trying to hop into solar and they don't know what they're doing. If they don't know what they're doing, they don't have the right team behind them. They're going to get eaten alive. When they go to homeowners and they have the right objections, they're just going to get squashed. So, um, but like I said, roofing. You go to a house and they need a roof. They're going to buy from one of the 3 to 4 to 5 people that showed up. They have to, right? But solar's a different ballgame. You have to understand the right value propositions. You have to be honest with them. If you're honest and can back up the information you're giving them, it's a game changer, right? So building credibility and working with them helps a ton.
I think in anything that you sell, part of it is I think a lot of people go into wanting to sell a new product and they go in straight from the beginning and they have this fake it till you make it mentality. And sometimes that can be a good thing, but also a lot of the times, the homeowners will see right through that, right? And when you become knowledgeable at your trade and become uh proud of what you're doing and become a teacher. I've always every time I've gone into a sales presentation, I like to go into it with instead of being overly salesy. I've thought to myself, I'm going to become the teacher. And so, what does that mean? I have to be very knowledgeable on what I am bringing to the table for my clients, right? Be able to answer any questions, be able to make it so simple for them to understand that at that point they feel stupid saying no, right? I think that that's one of the big things with selling solar or selling roofing or selling any trade is make sure that you take enough pride in your trade to become knowledgeable in what you're teaching and what you're selling, and know that you're gonna feel way better about yourself too if you're out there selling something where you understand the product and you're able to really explain that to a client really well. A lot of the times, one of the things that that hinders people from purchasing from people is just that they feel confused, right? If you can avoid that feeling of confusion from anything that you're selling, it's going to make it way easier for you to be able to sell that product to your client. And so I just think, yes, if you're getting into solar or you're getting into any of these other additional trades, make sure that you understand what you're doing. That might mean that you have to, do ride-alongs with some of your installers and really be on site while you're installing. And I've always felt like that was a big thing for me, was watching a product be detached from a house and reinstalled, or watching a roof get torn off and then the new roof put on. Man, how many salespeople go out there and sell roofs and never once get out there on an install? You're going to be way better at whatever it is that you're selling, and definitely with solar, if you're able to uh, watch it be installed right from the beginning.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point too, because how I got started in the industry for, I was selling a little bit here and there, and then I started doing the installs. And when I started my first company, the number one thing I got was calls from roofers, and this is how it's morphed over its period of time. Is 10 years ago, 12 years ago, they'd be calling me up going, "Hey man, I need you to take this system down. Here's the address. Go just get this crap off the roof." That's how it used to be. And then it morphed into, I'm kind of intrigued with the solar stuff. I'd like to learn a little bit more, but I'm not going to do anything. To now I have people calling going, "Hey man, I need to get in this solar thing. I've done enough research. I see that people are doing well in this. I need to add this to what I'm doing because, you know, there's a lot of roofers. Yeah, I don't know if you know this or not. There's quite a few roofers, Diego. As you know, look at your conference. I mean,
I've got
it feels.
26,000 just in the Facebook group.
I know. I saw that. I saw that today. I was like, holy cow! I didn't realize it was that many. And then, how many years have you been doing this conference? It feels like 15. I'm sure. And
This
it's
is year
what
5.
I know, right? So this thing is
It feels
exploding.
like 15. I have aged 10 years
I
in the
know.
last
I
5 years,
knew.
but yes.
We didn't even talk about that, and I knew this was going to be your answer. So I knew it feels like 15 when you put on a show. I shouldn't say put on a show. You put a product out there for us all to go to that is that big with those level of speakers and that many level of distributors and vendors and all that stuff. And now we're going to have a booth there this year. So I'm sure it's taxing, and I can just say for one, I appreciate you doing that, but it's got to be exhausting to everybody, to
Thank you.
you and everybody there. So that's my point, is there's a million different roofers out there, and how do you differentiate? And again, part of the two things that I will say is, how do you double your revenue? And one is, you go in and you train people on how to sell solar to right now going forward. You sell your, or you change your sale, or you train your sales team, whether it be 2 people, 10 people, 50 people, train them how to sell solar ethically. And now you're offering solar. Now, you may not sell solar every job. You're not going to. You may sell it every 4th job. And you're selling a bunch of $20,000 roofs, and every once in a while you pop off a $50,000 or $60,000 solar job as well. Maybe that doesn't double revenue, but guess what does? Going back on your book of business. And the reason I like going back on book of business, and I'm very, very good at it, I have the email structures, I have everything you need to go, and I can show you how to do the follow phone calls, text messages, all that. But you go in and you work on your book of business, and now you start talking to people, and guess what? They already have new roofs. I mean, you've already talked to them. You've already had a pleasure. This is not a cold call anymore. You're calling somebody, "Hey, Diego, remember we put the roof on last year? How's it going?" "Great, man. We love our roof." "Well, listen, we're offering solar now." Guess what? They're intrigued. It's not a cold call. They trust you. And then on top of that, that's just 2 things. But on top of that, now you're adding to your website that you do solar. You add it to your trucks. You add it to your, every social media thing you have. Your website has it now. All your media has it now. And guess what? That's a lightning rod. Whether it's for good or bad, solar is a lightning rod right now in marketing. So just, well, I mentioned 3, and I told you 2, but those 3 things right there absolutely will double your revenue and as a roofing contractor. There's no question in my mind. So but yeah, I
Yeah, if
think
you've been in business for a while and you've got a good reputation,
oh,
I mean, it can be a way to definitely double your revenue, or if you don't do it correctly, for sure to kill your reputation. So
that's right.
That's why you want to make sure you partner up with someone that knows what they're doing right from the beginning. But if you have those people, you've already done the business. Let's say you've been in business for 5 years. You've been doing consistently, 100 to 1,000 roofs a year, whatever that looks like for you specifically. Now you've got all these people, just doing a quick, I'm just brainstorming here, right? If you can just send a text message to every person you've done a roof to, hey, we've added solar to what we're doing. We've taken the liberty to do a just an audit to see what approximately what it would look like to be able to add solar to you. We'd love to be able to come in and do a quick presentation, something along those lines, just to be able to get your foot in the door with these people that already have a good idea of you, and you've already got a good reputation with them. Huge. I mean,
it's a no-brainer. I mean, yeah, let's just say you have 1,000 roofs that you've done in the past, right? And it's all been within last 5 years. I don't know, depending on the size of the company, that may be realistic, may be unrealistic. But let's say you're doing 200 a year for 5 years. You got 1,000 clients that you've helped. Let's just say that 25% of them respond to an email blast that you send out to everybody, or calls or texts or whatever. You got 250 people that are considering doing solar with you. And typically what I would say in the industry, you're going to probably close 1 out of 4 deals, maybe 1 out of 3 deals, somewhere in that range of 33 to 25% is kind of on the low end. Usually it's around 40%. But if it's somebody you've already done business with, I'd say you're probably going to close 50% of those. So instead of having 1,000 roofs, now you could have 1,000 roofs and maybe 500 solar systems on top of that. 500 solar systems at 60 grand a pop's $3 million. So there's a lot of revenue to be made on your book of business. And then again, the same thing with the gutters and siding, if they ever add that. But specifically for me, I don't know those industries at all. I know that roofing and solar together just makes sense. And then helping your sales team grow. And I'll tell you something else is, as I heard somebody say this the other day, and it really blew my mind. I never thought about it, because solar sales reps make a lot of money. They can make a ton of money. And I heard somebody say this the other day, and I'm not trying to, get anything going here, but I heard somebody say, listen, we want to help add solar to your industry and to your company, because we don't want your reps coming to us selling solar. And I thought about that for a minute. I'm like, well, I'm kind of selfish in that aspect. I want to come sell solar for me. Let me take, but at the same time, it's like, no, we don't want that to happen. We want the sales guys and the sales team, sales ladies, everybody to stay in the roofing industry, but to add solar, and we can work together and keep because people need to sell roofing, obviously. And I'm not at all advocating coming to work for me and not the roofing system. Quite opposite, actually. I want you to stay working at that roofing company. Let me show you how to sell solar and roofing together. We'll work on this together, and we'll all prosper. So that's what I'd rather see. And that was a very wise man that said that the other day. I was very, very impressed with his comment, but I thought that was pretty cool. So we'd rather see people stay in the roofing industry. Just add solar to your offerings. You're going to double your revenue. You're going to make so much more money. It's unbelievable. So
we've talked in other shows about different options for people getting into solar. I know everyone does it a little bit differently. Let's talk through, we were just talking about how you're obviously you've got your brand and you've got, your stuff that you're doing. You're affiliated with Power also, and Power's going to be at SolarCon. That's not even my company.
see,
we were at SolarCon. I met Power at SolarCon. And now I'm promoting SolarCon. No.
See, right, closely related we are, man. It's solar roofing. They're interchangeable. Isn't that crazy?
SolarCon, RoofCon. Yeah, it's all the same, right?
So really,
you guys are going to be at RoofCon. That's where I was headed at.
Yes, we're going to be at RoofCon. It is Power. And to be honest with you, I've had my own companies. I've worked with other companies. I've interviewed with tons of them in between, thinking that maybe I'll find somewhere that I can get into being an executive or something in another company and do well there and so on. And I've not found that yet. What I have found is a place that I can go and have my own branding, like Ringo Innovations. My name it's been around for a long time. I'm not saying that I'm the best out there by any means, but people recognize my name. First of all, I'm happy and lucky to have a name that's memorable. It's not one that you hear every day, right? So it's a little bit unique. I use that to my advantage, and I have a good brand. I'm honest with people, and I like to educate, no matter who it is, whether the consumer, their sales, and so on. Just like you mentioned earlier about the education piece. But what I found is, like I said, I used to sell and be really strong in about 30 counties in Florida. And then when I started setting back, like, okay, I want to get rid of and I want to stop doing the installation piece, I want to start selling and having teams. Well, guess what? I have jobs right now that I'm working on in California, Texas, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Florida. I'm selling in 20 plus states right now. And it's virtual. It's the same as if I'm selling it down the road in Florida, or I can sell it in California right now. I'm working on a platform where I have people helping me sell. If I don't know the nuances in California, I can have somebody work with me, and we'll split the commissions on that project. And guess what? I'll make more selling that project that way than if I was selling it for another solar company right now. The commissions are so great in our platform. So, and within that platform, the power platform, it's amazing. I can't say enough about it. If you come on as an individual or a small team or even a larger organization, the benefits are unbelievable. The marketing stuff is all put together for you. There's a 30-year warranty that is exclusive to us. We have like I said, all those connections. I have some of those connections on my own since I've been with Power and it's just about a year now. I haven't been there very long, but I've got to meet some of the stalwarts, if you will, in the industry and within Power, and it's a very supportive network. I've never met another group of solar people in my life that want to see everyone succeed. I've never seen that anywhere. Everywhere else is a little cutthroat. Here it is unbelievable. So yes, we are going to have a booth. It will be a Power booth at RoofCon or SolarCon. Which is it SolarCon or RoofCon this year? I think it's RoofCon, right? So
RoofCon this year.
that was awesome, by the way. So, and I will say this: you asked, I think the question earlier you asked earlier about selling roofs versus solar, the first job I ever sold as a roof was this year, and I'm not a roofing professional in any way, shape, or form. But I used to sell a lot of roofs, but it was because somebody gave the information I sold. So I got into a conversation with somebody this year. I just want to mention I can't say enough about and how much I respect this guy. And his name's Keith Waller, and he works at NMR. I don't know if I can do this plug or not, but I'm going to do it and then ask for forgiveness later. But he helped me out and understand, because there's something that I really am passionate about, and I really am passionate about metal roofs with solar included in Florida specifically. Now, I understand there's communities that are not going to be able to do that and it's not allowed. But when we can put metal roofing and solar together, it's a generational solution to your issues. You have a roof that could last 40 to 50 years. And I understand, again, I want to say it again, I understand it's not for everybody, but this is utopia for me. I think a 30 to 40 to 50-year roof with our 30-year warranty on solar that's all inclusive on everything except batteries. Batteries don't have the 30-year warranties yet, but we extend the panel, the inverter, the railing systems, and the interconnection, the roof penetrations for 30 years. We count all that for 30 years, and you put that on a roof that's 50, got a 50-year warranty. It's amazing. So, we did the first roof I sold was this year, and it was a $165,000 massive job right in Englewood, Florida. It was amazing. It's on the website here. But I will say this: thank you to Keith and so on. We've got some other projects that we're working on as well that are outside of that area that I just love the 50-year warranty that they have and so on. And I'm sure there's other manufacturers that we'll work with as well. But I'm starting to really love the roofing piece. So I cannot be happier about going to RoofCon and doing two things: representing Power, one, and showing people what Power has and the platform that we have, and the enterprise, which is the larger organizations can go right into enterprise. And we would have to have a whole other show, but I'm sure that we got to wrap this up soon. I could talk about that enterprise level forever. And then come see me at that booth. We don't know the booth location yet. We'll figure that out. But I will be bouncing around, going to the other manufacturers' facility or their booths, especially MMR. They helped me sell a job this year. Were so amazing. They got me the installers, everything I needed, and they made it so easy for me. So I want to thank them now. So I don't know if I'm supposed to do that or not. Is that okay, Diego?
All good.
No.
All good.
Now that I did that, is that okay?
All good.
So
So let me ask you a question. Have you been to RoofCon in the past?
you know what? No, I have not. I have
So
not.
what are you the most excited about then?
I truly am. There's a lot of things, to be honest with you. I really love conferences and I love this kind of stuff. I'm super, super excited about two things. I want to see some of the speakers that you have lined up. You guys, how you do this, where you're pulling them from, I don't know. Harrington's going to be there this year. Some of these other guys, and I've met. We have mutual friends. Harrington and I have mutual friends. I know some people that he knows, and so on. I don't know him personally, but he's a great guy, great speaker. So that's not going to be. He's not going to disappoint. That's going to be a huge addition. And I know you've had some great speakers in the past, so I'm looking forward to that. I can't be happier than representing Power at their booth this year. I cannot tell you how exciting that's going to be for me, because I've seen every solar company out there. I know how they all work. I know all the good, the bad, the ugly, the different. And I know everything about the solar industry, sadly, and some of it not so good. But I know that if somebody were to say, listen, I want my roofing company to be selling solar tomorrow, I know that Power is the only option that you really have. And in my opinion, especially if it's beyond a local, because everybody's got a little local partner they can have. But if you want to put all your chips in on solar and you want to say, listen, I want to go solar and do this, I'm all in, you got to do it with Power, because like I live in a very transient state. I live in Florida. So for years, I was, like I said, I have my license here and I can go install jobs. I can do everything I want here. But when people would move here from Illinois, they'd say, hey, listen, my uncle and their family got 9 people up there ready to go solar. Can you help me out? No, I can't. Now that I'm in Power, I can sell anybody in the Northeast. If you've got friends in Ohio, Illinois, Massachusetts, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, I mean, you name it. We have 20 some states that we can sell in, and I can do it tomorrow. And it's the same product. It's the same, proposal tool. It's the same look, feel, the whole 9 yards. So one thing I will say in closing notes, because I have a feeling we're probably gonna wrap this up soon, is when I talk to roofers and they're on the fence of doing this with Power and so on, I'm like, have you ever thought about expansion? And they're like, I talked to somebody the other day, they've got 3 locations in Florida and they're talking about getting another location. I was that in Florida? Like, yeah. And I said, why don't you go to Texas as well? I heard Texas is a great market for roofing. Well, we'd love to. We just have no idea how to get there. I can help you do that. I'm very good at that as well. And here's how we do it. I have a strategy for that. One is you start selling at your locations here, selling solar, getting good at it, send either a couple people from here to Texas, pick a location, and or hire and train people how to sell solar out there. It's a big revenue maker, and you do not have to have a brick and mortar location. You can if you want. And from there, you're starting to sell, and you're starting to sell in other markets. You can do it 2 or 3, 4 different markets at the same time. All you do really is create the leads. You're doing that with roofing anyway. Create the leads, start creating huge revenue with solar in those areas, and also start throwing in a roof with them as well. And guess what? The next thing you know, you need a roofer. Might as well be you. That's how you expand into other states easily with this platform. So, man, there's so many benefits. I cannot wait. I guess, Diego, I hope I answered what I'm excited for. And one is to be at that booth and meet roofers. I love talking to roofers all the time. It's just great. Whether they like solar or not, I like the challenging ones as well. But I'm excited about being on the floor and meeting people and going around and seeing the manufacturers that I've dealt with, over the years, the shingle manufacturers, the metal manufacturers. I'm looking forward to all of it. So I don't know if I have any one thing in particular other than work in the Power booth. I cannot wait to do that. So,
well, that's exciting. We're excited to have y'all, and we're excited for RoofCon. It's coming up. We're just over a month away. We got a lot of cool stuff happening. We're about to today, as we speak. We've been in contact with finalizing our final speaker for RoofCon, so I can't announce it quite yet, but I'm super excited about it. So it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great show. I'm excited to get to meet up in person, go
absolutely,
from there.
I cannot wait.
And I appreciate you hopping on. If someone wants to connect with you here as we wrap up and reach out to you directly, Where do they go?
The easiest thing to do is just reach out to me on Facebook, or LinkedIn. Either way, it's not hard to find on LinkedIn. If you look at LinkedIn, it's David Ringo. I'm a solar advocate on there. David Ringo on Facebook, Ringo Innovations on Facebook. Either way, I'm in this group that we're watching today. So if anybody's got any questions, just DM me. I get DMs from roofers all the time asking questions. And one thing I will say is, before we go to the conference, what I would really like to do, if possible, is I'll show people the back end of what this platform looks like and how they can do it. And so that way, when we get to the conference, right, when we get to RoofCon, you can just come over to the booth and we'll shake hands and get you started. It'll be that simple. You can have all your questions answered before you even get to RoofCon. So it's, I'm excited. I cannot wait. And by the way, I'll say this: if any of your, speakers back out, man, I know somebody would love to get up on stage and talk for a while. So just throwing it out there, so.
Thank you. Well, I've got you on the waiting list now.
Yeah, I'm sure it's pretty far back on that waiting list. I get it. But no, I appreciate your time, and thank you so much, man. And I couldn't have been more happy to be on here today.
Thank you so much. All right. So as we wrap up, if you haven't gotten your tickets to RoofCon yet, the link's been rolling down here at the bottom the entire time. Go to roofcon.com. Get your tickets today. We've got a deal right now going on the website. So the banner is up with what the deal is. Go through and get your tickets today. With that, we're going to sign off. We're going to have a little ad here for RoofCon. Please stick around and just watch that. And we're going to sign off. Peace. Thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you.
RoofCon 2022. This event is getting better and better.
So I think RoofCon just has such a good energy about it. Such a fun event with so many people from all over, so many different companies and spaces. And
we love RoofCon. We get so much traffic. We got this perfect booth over here. We love the professionals that come here. We got a huge variety. This is where you want to be at.
I'm with Disaster Solutions. This is my first RoofCon experience. We've done a ton of networking and have been able to link up with a lot of clients and customers that we generally wouldn't meet on a normal daily basis.
This is my first RoofCon and it has been awesome. The people here have been awesome.
Came out to RoofCon. This is my first time. Expected a lot of people to be out here, a lot of people great to, network with and connect with, and, it's been a great outcome so far.
In the classes, the people, the momentum here is amazing.
It's the best place to get all the industry pros and vendors all under one roof so we can learn, grow, and get out of here and help more businesses.
we chose to come to RoofCon because, one, we love working with them. They're great people, great organization, and offer a really great conference. But they also have a chance to meet over 4,000 roofers all over America, and we also get a chance to talk to other companies in the industry who we can work with, partner with, and get to know.
We've been coming to this event for as long as they've been putting it on, and every year it gets better and better. I mean, if you're in the industry, this is the place to be.
First RoofCon, been following Hunter and the Revolt Clan for quite some time, and it's definitely been a lot more than what we expected. The networking, the speakers, just everybody here has just been an amazing experience.